Hi readers, it's Lori. Welcome back to my channel, Books, Ink, and Paper, and today we're going to talk about Quarantine-a-thon, my first readathon of 2020. I have really avoided readathons because last year readathons kind of took over my TBR in some ways, and yeah, I just felt like I needed a break from them this year a little bit, and agreed that I would do one now and again if I felt like it was the right timing. And I think that this is the right timing, and it's a month-long readathon, so I can read one book a week, which makes me feel better about all of that. Now, Quarantine-a-thon is being hosted by April at Getting Higgy With It. I love April's channel and her videos, and this is her first readathon. So the other reason I wanted to participate in it is to support her and this first endeavor. And she's got 4 prompts, which means you can read a book a month or a book a week for the month of May. So it starts, I think, May 4th and ends May 30th, 30 days in May. No, 31. So, just the 1st to the 31st, whatever works for you, but essentially a book a week in the month of May. So I have picked my books for the 4 prompts, and I am here to share them with you. So let's get started. So the first prompt of the 4 is to read a book about tough times. And for this prompt, I'm choosing The Last Train to London by Meg Waite Clayton. This is an advanced reader's copy. I've had it for way too long. I did a haul revisit for May and realized how long I've had it. It came out in September of 2019, but it's been out a while. It is the story of, I think it's Truus Wischmuller, who starts to smuggle Jewish children out of Vienna on a train, and she's fairly successful, but it's getting harder and harder and harder. And one day she's confronted by Adolf Eichmann, who was one of the notorious leaders of the Nazi Party and the Gestapo. And he tells her that he will allow her to continue to smuggle Jewish children out, but she can only smuggle 600 of them, and she has to do it in one day and on the Sabbath. No, 1 week and on the Sabbath. So she tries to find 600 children, and she finds Stefan and his brother Walter and Sophie. And I think it follows that story there, and then maybe follows what happened to Walter and Stefan and Sophie. I'm not sure. Just saying it's a tough time. Hopefully it'll be a quick read because it's short chapters. I hope it's a quick read because it's a pretty chunky book to pick for Quarantine-a-thon and to have a week to read it. But even if I overlap, a couple of these books are not going to be large. Now, I'm also going to say that I could take all 4 and read them when I can, as I can, and just see how that works. So I'm not married to reading one a week necessarily, but it does give you a week to finish one book at a time. The next prompt is read a book about people most at risk during this time, and I'm taking some liberties. She certainly said you could read a book about anybody that you think is at risk, and she mentioned she has a great video actually of some recommendations, but I'm choosing Every Heart a Doorway by Shauna McGuire. I wanted to read this last year and didn't finish it. I did start it, and I'm going to have to start it again because I don't remember any of it, but I didn't get very far. I can also listen to this because I have access to it on audio. But this follows some children who have some special powers, and they're at risk for being persecuted or treated badly by family and other people. So they have been taken into this home for, I guess, wayward children, Miss West's home, and she tries to, I think, return them to sort of where they should be or place them where they should be. I'm not sure. It's very confusing synopsis to this, but I've heard Shauna McGuire is a masterful fantasy author, and it's short, very short, so good for a readathon, and has some great reviews. So I'm going to finish that this year too. So those are 2 books I wanted to read last year that I didn't get to, that hopefully I'll get to this year. The third prompt is read a book about essential workers, people who are on the front lines doing something in whatever way right now. So when we think about essential workers, we're thinking about police, firemen, obviously medical personnel, grocery store workers and food preparers. And so I'm choosing something I've had for a long time and never even considered until today, and that's The Five Quarters of the Orange by Joanna Harris. Joanne Harris wrote, what did she write? Joanne Harris wrote Chocolat. I was going to say, I read something else by Joanne Harris. So this is an interesting historical fiction piece. It is about Framboise Simone, who comes back to a small village in France, and nobody remembers her or recognizes her, but her mother had a past, and there was a tragedy that happened in their town. And so she definitely doesn't want to be remembered as her mother's daughter. And there was something about the German occupation and different things that happened. So she's looking for a new beginning. And she finds recipes that her mother had written down. So she opens up a creperie and starts preparing those recipes, and she learns something else about the recipes, and there's a deeper underlying something there. And so it sounds great. It is also not huge, so that's good. It's 300 and little over 300 pages. I loved Chocolat. I loved the book as well as the movie. And again, this has been on my shelf for a while, and I got it, I think, at a book sale one day, and I just never have even taken a look at it as far as the last few years to see if it's something I wanted to read. So it was published in, this is a first edition actually, in 2001. So it's a pretty old novel, but it's going to get read now. And I love this color, actually. I really, really am excited about that. And then the last one I don't own a physical copy of, but the prompt for this is read a book about what you miss the most in the world. And that was an easy prompt. I had a number of books that I could read for this particular prompt. But I'm going to read The Bookshop on the Corner by Jenny Colgan. It's been a book in my purview for a while. I've almost purchased it a few times. I can listen to it on Scribd, so I'm going to probably do that. I don't, as I said, own a physical copy of it. It is the first in the Scottish Bookshop series, it says, and it got almost 4 stars average. So Nina Redmond is a literary matchmaker, and she pairs people with the perfect book, somewhat like Anne Bogle does on What Should I Read Next, right? She was a librarian, and then her job was eliminated, or she was let go, I'm not sure. So she moves to a sleepy little village, buys a van, transforms it into a bookmobile, and starts going neighborhood to neighborhood, helping people to learn about books and telling them stories and sharing her love of books with other people. It sounds cute. It sounds lovely. A couple of my friends have read it, but I have just never picked it up. So I do miss shopping in a bookstore. I do miss being able to browse the stacks of my library even. I enjoy that. I love the smell of a bookstore. I love feeling like I'm surrounded by unlimited possibilities. And so this may be a good read for me right now. So those are my 4 choices for Quarantine-a-thon 2020. Hopefully this is the only Quarantine-a-thon we ever have. But again, it's being hosted by April at Getting Higgy with It. It is May 1st-ish, May 4th to the end of the month, and you can read a book a week if that's what you choose to do. I hope you'll join us in reading during Quarantine-a-thon, and let me know what you're reading, what's on your TBR, and I hope you have a very, very happy reading month of May. Bye.